everybody. Susan Finch here, founder of Binky Patrol, coming into our 30-year anniversary. Super excited. 30 years, we've been creating and delivering handmade blankets to children and teens in need. These blankets, we call Binkies, provide comfort during difficult times to show these recipients, these fragile humans, and maybe it's very strong humans, maybe not fragile, maybe strong but in a transition period experiencing traumas or recoveries. We want to show that they matter. Today's episode, I was inspired by a situation that initially leaves me frustrated, but ultimately has led to an important realization about communication, expectations, and how we better support our volunteers. So, the incident. Last week, a college club delivered 15 fleece-tied blankets to our chapter. These students had purchased the material, dedicated their time, and coordinated this service project with genuine care. But when I opened the box, my heart sank. Every single blanket still had the selvage. That's the factory edge, the ugly, curly, dotted, written stuff on the edge of the fabric, intact in the fringe, creating a curly, unappealing edge. And about half of them were not tied securely, so pulling the two pieces of fabric made the blanket come apart into two different pieces of fabric. Now, we have very clear instructions on our website. We emphasize in all caps with multiple exclamation points, cut off the selvage before you cut the fringe. We had exchanged emails with this group. I had spoken to their leader on the phone. I had sent videos. My immediate reaction? Frustration. Every blanket would now require an additional 30 minutes to fix. That's 7 hours of volunteer time. Time that could be spent making new blankets or for me connecting with chapters, raising funds, doing other things, because I am also a volunteer even though I'm the CEO of the organization. So I took the link in to express this dilemma. I asked other nonprofit leaders and team leaders that I have respected over the years how they would have handled it. And that's when something interesting happened. Among the many supportive comments, one person asked a question that stopped me in my tracks. Have you considered that perhaps your instructions aren't as clear as you think? My first instinct was be defensive. Of course they're clear. We use bold capital letters, exclamation points, videos. But I sat with this question because I have a genuine desire to solve this problem and to keep it from repeating. I have our chapters across the country that are saying the same issues happen to them and they get so frustrated. Some don't even take these type of tied blankets just for this reason. So I realized something profound. When you've done something thousands of times, what seems obvious to you might be completely foreign to somebody else. I've been making these blankets for decades. I know exactly what the selvage looks like, where to find it, how to remove it, how to teach people to remove it when I'm there with them in person. But for these college students making their first blanket, or maybe it's not their first one, maybe they learned how to make these as children and think they know how to make them. That term of selvage might be completely unfamiliar. They might not even be reading the instructions because they think they know how to do it because they've done them in the past or as children. This is what psychologists call expert blindness. When your expertise actually blinds you to how beginners experience a task. I'm the one with the expert blindness here. Okay, just so you know, it's not the volunteers, it's me. Then I realized I had fallen into that trap, assuming knowledge that's not universal. Okay, so what can I do? Instead of continuing in frustration, I decided to turn this into a learning opportunity and a fun neighborhood thing. We have a neighborhood board on Facebook, and I posted kind of this dilemma here and that I needed children's help. So this Saturday, I'm hosting a focus group of children at my home. I'll have blankets there, scissors, our instructions written down, printed from the website, and I want to see how they would teach another child to make these blankets. Why children? Because they have no preconceptions. They'll point out exactly what's confusing. They'll use language that's accessible. We'll make it a fun, playful experience so they don't have to fear saying what's wrong or what I am doing incorrectly or how whatever I'm doing is not teaching them the right way. They won't be afraid to tell me when something doesn't make sense because we're turning it into a fun exercise that they get to do stuff with their neighbor friends. So first, I'm going to ask them to explain the process to each other in their own words. Then I'll have them read our current instructions, tell me what they understand or don't understand, And this experiment should highlight exactly where our communication is breaking down across our entire organization, because this is not just a one-time issue. This is in many chapters in our country. So my takeaway from this is that these are the broader lessons for nonprofits. This experience has me thinking about how often we might face similar issues in the nonprofit world and in business in general, maybe even in our families. But in the nonprofit world, we're so passionate about our missions that we assume everyone else immediately understands our jargon, our processes, our priorities. So what can you all learn from my selvage situation? First, regularly test your instructions with fresh eyes. Find someone who has never done volunteering for your organization before and watch them follow your guidance without intervention. Second, create multiple learning formats. Some people learn by reading, others by watching, others by doing. Our instructions were written and video-based, but perhaps we needed visual diagrams or in-person demonstrations. I know for me, for our events, our in-person demonstrations of the blankets, I still have to do it 2 or 3 times throughout the event, and we still catch people skipping a step because whoever taught them did not teach them all the steps because they knew it and forgot to share the information. Third, implement feedback loops. After volunteer activities, ask specific questions. What part of the process was unclear? What would have made this easier to understand? Fourth, examine everything from a first-timer's perspective. Identify terms that might be unfamiliar and explain them. Break complex tasks into smaller steps. And finally, use plain language. Instead of remove the selvage, perhaps we should say cut off the factory finished edges that often have tiny holes and printing on the sides of the fabric. A lot of words, but could avoid a lot of miscommunication. So I'll be sharing the results of our focus group in a follow-up episode along with the changes we've implemented based on what we've learned. I'd love to hear your experiences too. When have you discovered that what seemed crystal clear to you was actually confusing to others? As nonprofit leaders, we balance gratitude for our volunteers with the standards our mission requires. Finding that balance takes patience, humility, and a willingness to question our own assumptions. Thank you for listening. Until next time, approach your communication with grace, stay open to growth, and never lose your gratitude for those who give their time to your cause.